Natalia Arcuri from Me Poupe YouTube channel, and now you're gonna see a little bit of my interview with Gordon Brown. Thank you so much
Pleasure.
for being here. I have just very quick questions, but very important one. The first one is, what are the biggest challenges standing in the way of achieving the SDGs?
Look, in the last 2 years, in the global south, we've let people die through lack of vaccines. We've let people starve through lack of food. We've let people suffer droughts and floods and firestorms through lack of provision of climate finance. We are halfway through the period of the Sustainable Development Goals, and we're at a moment of truth. If we don't change course, we will not achieve them. If we change course, there's a chance of doing so. In my own area of education, 260 million children will not go to school today or any day. Aid on education is actually falling. And of course, the amount we spend on a child in a low-income country is less than 1% of what we will spend in an advanced economy. So things have got to change. And that's what I want to put forward, is an agenda for change.
Yeah. In your point of view, what is the most important people in the world actually doing to change this situation in education?
We've got to provide finance. You cannot have spend resources without reform, but you can't have reform without resources. And if you want reform in education, you've got to back it by resources. And so we must spend more. We've created a new facility, the International Finance Facility for Education. Perhaps it could raise $10 billion. We're urging people to support the education of the 72 million children who are displaced and refugees, who are not going to school at all because of that. And of course, we have to do more to fund the World Bank and make it see that a priority is human capital, because that is the future. It's education that unlocks every other goal: gender equality, employment opportunity, quality of life. And of course, the mitigation and adaptation to climate change depends on an educated population.
And could you explain the goal 4 that talks about education, and where are we at the halftime for global education, and how are you tracking it? Because this is something that goes in my mind. Who is tracking it?
Well, before COVID, about 50% of children at the age of 10 were not literate. They couldn't read or understand a basic text. And that's 50% in low and middle income countries. Now the figure is 70% because of the damage done by COVID, because of the failure to catch up, and because of the decline in aid and the stalling of investment in education in most of the countries that are in the global south. So that has got to be reversed, and that's why you need resources to do it. Of course, you need teaching reform, curriculum reform. You need all these things to happen simultaneously, but you can't do it without resources. And my plea to the developed world is that the future of the world depends on an educated, informed, youthful population. And unless you invest in them, you are storing up trouble for the future.
So for me, we are in a paradigm between the short term and the long term. In education, it's only about long term. And people who are living now, they don't want to give up some privileges. So my question is for Gordon Brown. What are you really willing to give up so that the 70 SDGs are achieved?
Well, we have got to redistribute resources from the north to the south. We've got massive earnings from oil and gas. That is a windfall for the petrostates. Clearly, we've got resources that we can use to make sure that everybody has a chance. We're talking about bridging the gap between what children are and what they have it in themselves to become. And if you don't invest in education, then you will not have employment, you will not have health, you will not have even a better climate. You can't have a healthy planet without healthy people, and you can't have healthy people without investment in human capital, and that's what's going to happen. So if I had my way, I would be making sure that the World Bank is properly financed. I'd be making sure that the transfer of what's called special drawing rights has happened. I'd make sure that the West honored its promises for 100 billion for climate finance for the developing world. And I'd be creating the new institutions like the International Finance Facility for Education so that you can apply resources immediately into the poorest countries in the world who desperately need to invest in their education for the future. Now, if we don't do that, when we get to 2030, we'll have cascading crises. We'll have reached the point of no return on climate change. And of course, we'll have a low growth economy that cannot generate the resources for a proper health, education and other public services.
And the last question, in this path, who do you think is the most important stakeholder to achieve that vision?
What the most important people are the people in the global south who've been denied opportunities, and anything I can do to help them express their dissent and their views and their desire for change. But of course, we rely on the leaders to make changes. And there have been moments in history when it's been least propitious to do so, that there have been breakthroughs either in reduction of nuclear weapons or in tackling the ozone layer or in dealing with debt relief for the poorest countries. And that's the kind of breakthrough we want, a breakthrough that gives us the finance that is necessary to deal with both climate change and the investment in health and human capital that is absolutely necessary now. That's what's got to happen. And it's going to happen quickly, and you've got to make decisions soon. And the leaders are under pressure now to do something, and hopefully you and so many people watching will actually put them under pressure.
We are here for that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Good talk.